Bitch, you try to break it. I don't care. I ain't trying to break that shit, nigga. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit, nigga. I want my freedom. Fuck you, bitch. You don't have no freedom, man. You're fucking mentally retarded. I don't care.
All right. This is my morning thought for today. And as promised from yesterday, we're going to touch on the S word, but not the way you think we are. What is the S word? Is submission. Well, we're going to come at it from a different angle, and probably not the angle that most guys would think that I'm going to come at it. Because most of the time when we talk about black submission, we're talking about convincing the black female to submit to black male authority, which she basically has never done. So for years and years and years and years in the narrative, it's about trying to get black women to submit, because according to our religious texts, wives are supposed to submit to their husband. And in most other cultures, I wouldn't say every culture, but most other cultures, black women do submit, even as hard-headed as Jewish women are, as feisty as they can be in their matriarchy. They actually submit to male authority, which is why they're successful. They understand how the system works. And in the black community, that doesn't happen. And we go round and round and round and round trying to figure out why it doesn't happen. Even me, I'm an old dude, and I've been trying to figure it out for most of my life. And just here recently, over the last couple of years, I've finally come to the conclusion of why we cannot get our women. I know a lot of people are going to say they're not our women, but for this video and the sake of this argument, we're going to consider them our women. Can't get the ADOS black American woman to submit to male authority or black male authority. And I finally figured it out, because we have it backwards. Just like the black community is upside down and in reverse order to nature or human culture, and it's flipped where the girls are propped up over the boys and the women are propped up over the males. And even the dominant culture goes in to actually reinforce that reality. No matter where we go, it gets reinforced, right? Where the black female is in charge. And if you think about that, you think about the reality that the black female is in charge of the black community. What does that mean? Is that they're not supposed to submit in this system. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back row, and I know I'm going to get a backlash. So, if you're going to thumb it down, go ahead and thumb it down. In this system, in the black system, in the black ADOS American system, they're not supposed to submit because they're in charge. They're leading. They've been put in authority over us, over black men and black boys. So who is supposed to submit to the authority? It's supposed to be black men. And again, I say in this system. So it's really not black women that are bucking against the system, bucking against authority, even though they will lie and they will say that they're willing to submit. And we've seen evidence and we've seen what they say behind our backs, that even though they say they're submitting, they're actually not. And it's for a very good reason. They're not supposed to. They're in charge. They're in authority. They run the family. They run the community. So the thing is, it's not supposed to be black female submission in this system, in this community. It's supposed to be black male submission. And if you submit to the gynocracy, they give you the appearance that they're submitting to you. They always give you the appearance that's submitted to you. If you're blowing out her back, right, and you're giving her orgasms and you're submitting her to her pleasure, she's going to reward you with fake submission. She's going to, okay, I'll go ahead and pay the cost by cleaning up and cooking tacos or whatever I'm going to do, right? Because I've already got my reward. I already got my submission. Same thing you would do if you paid a hooker, right? If you paid a woman to give you an orgasm or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, and you have a long session, you might drop $100, $200, right? Because you had a good time, right? She's already, you've submitted money to receive a product. So how come you can't, like Shahara Ali said, As long as you have her on her back, as long as you have her toes curling and you have her eyes rolled up in the back of her head, she's going to submit. As soon as you're not doing that, guess what she's going to do? She's going to tell you exactly who's in charge, and who's in charge is not you. That's how come you have to pay for her submission, because in her mind, that's out of order. She's supposed to be in charge. She's supposed to tell you what to do. That's how come the homosexuals, sometimes I think the homosexuals have it right. They submit to the gynocracy, they submit to her will, and she takes care of them. The only problem is that it goes against male nature. And that's where the issue comes in. Because it's not, they have a problem with submitting because they're in charge. We have a problem with submitting because we're male. We have a problem with being nagged. We have a problem with being told what to do by a female because we're male, especially if that female's not acting in accordance to where our mind works, because we're men. So what do men, even little boys buck? Little boys, if they get to around 10, 11, 12, they don't like to being told what to do. They're men. That male nature starts to rise up. They don't like being told what to do. They like to be reasoned with. They like to be bargained with. They like for you to win their cooperation to where they will do it willingly, but they don't like being told what to do. They buck. That's like how boys have so much problem with their mothers when they get to be teens. It's because they buck. They buck against the gynocracy. Why? Because the little boy or the boy is not submitting to that mother's will. He doesn't want to submit to female authority, which it does go against nature. And that's the issue. That's the issue the Black community has, is that the people in charge that have the authority can't get the people that are not in charge and don't have the authority to submit. We just saw that with Kobe Bryant in his death and the problem that he had with his mother. It wasn't his father he had a problem with. His mother didn't want him to marry that Latina for various reasons. And then he didn't want to get a prenup, or said he didn't get a prenup. I have a feeling she probably did get a prenup, but hey, that's neither here nor there. And his mother disapproved of the marriage, not his father. His father didn't say anything. It was his mother that disapproved of the marriage. And so since he bucked and he wouldn't submit to her will, she basically put him out of the community. And even unto his very death, the Black community has a problem with Kobe Bryant because he bucked. He bucked against the gynocracy. He bucked against submitting to Black women's will. That's how come they rag on him. They go after him. They go after his family. They go after his wife because she's supposed to fork over Kobe Bryant's billions of dollars to the Black gynocracy. Same thing with Snoop. Now, rightfully so, Snoop may have gone a little too far. He may or may not have. But at the end of the day, Gayle King's supposed to be a journalist, and she's in the public eye. And journalists and people in the public eye that do something that's controversial do get death threats. Whether they're credible or not is one thing. But the reason that Snoop had to apologize and the gynocracy came down on Snoop is because he bucked. It wasn't because of what he said, it's because he bucked. The gynocracy disapproved of Kobe Bryant marrying that Latina. They didn't give a damn about that white girl. They didn't give a damn about that white girl in Colorado that went to court, that crazy ass white girl. They were feeding girls to R. Kelly. They were serving up girls to R. Kelly on a freaking platter. In Chicago, in Oprah's hometown, while R. Kelly was doing it, and Oprah didn't say a goddamn thing while it was going on. It was going on right underneath Oprah's nose. And when R. Kelly was doing it, it was happening. Oprah didn't say a goddamn thing until after he wasn't earning no more money. And he was no more good to the gynocracy. And he wasn't serving up little white girls either. He was serving up little Black girls. But R. Kelly didn't buck. R. Kelly submitted himself to the gynocracy, which is why they never did anything. But the thing is, Kobe bucked, and then Snoop tried to buck to defend him. And the gynocracy went all the way up to the top, slapped Snoop down, and tell him to get back in line. So, brothers, you have it all wrong. You keep asking your betters to submit to you, when it's you that doesn't have any freedom. We are man-nots, okay? We're designated as man-nots, and we are bucking the system because our hard-headed ass refuses to submit. Remember my mother years ago, and most of my life, even though Pops be out working, 9, 10, 11 hours a day, And he may not have been the nicest man, but think hell, he took care of her family. And she'd have a disagreement with him. And she would just say, if he would just let me, if he would just listen to me. In other words, what she was saying, if he would just submit to what I'm saying, if he would just submit to my will, then the family would run better. That's what she was saying. I was treated differently because guess what? My personality doesn't submit very well. You can reason with me. You can appeal to me. You can get my cooperation. I just have a hard time with submission, which is the problem I've had with most of my relationships with black women, because I've dated nothing but black women, unfortunately. Because I didn't submit to some of their dumbass ideas. I wouldn't follow them. I wouldn't submit to what they wanted. So I always been that person that bucked. And they wind up doing something crazy in a relationship because I wouldn't submit. They couldn't get me to submit. They couldn't get me to follow. They couldn't get me to follow along with their edicts. And I'd have to bounce. And trust and believe, they were perfectly willing to take care of me. Had a beautiful fiance. She was perfectly willing to take care of me. She's willing to take care of the business. She was willing to go to school. All I had to do was basically, really, for the most part, pretty much clean up the house. If I want, play housemaid, fuck her right, and help her with her homework. And listen to her bullshit. That's all I really had to do. And hit the gym. Speak nice in front of her 92 octane girlfriends. And I've had more than several women, a bunch of women give me that offer. But the thing is, I am an uppity Negro, okay? I look at my grandson, and my grandson is a lot like me. He's more hard-headed, where he doesn't, it's hard to appeal to reason with his hard-headed ass, but we don't submit. My daughter is, she's got a bit of that in me, but the thing is, it doesn't hurt her because she's a black female. I just happen to be uppity, and I don't like submitting to females. I just don't. Just never did, because I am a logical person, and irrationality doesn't bode well in my psyche. And as far as my love life, that has always hurt me. I'm not going to do stupid shit just to do stupid shit, unless it's my stupid shit. Okay? But that is the gynocracy. If you submit to the gynocracy, you submit to their will, then guess what will happen? They'll take care of you, or at least as much as they can. But the thing is that black male submission in the gynocracy has not worked for black males. It has not. I think if it did, it'd be more reasonable if it did, but it has not. And that's the problem. And I know I'm rambling a bit, but I'm going to get back on track. But that is the reason that black women won't submit. It's because they're not supposed to in this system. They're not taught to submit in this system. Are they taught to cooperate? They used to be. That used to be the saving grace. Okay, they were taught a role and they played their role, and they were taught to cooperate in that role. Even though that role looked like submission, which it never was submission. It appeared to be submission because they were fulfilling a role, and so were you. And as long as you were fulfilling the role that was laid out by them and laid out by their mothers and their grandmothers, you could keep a fair working balance. But if you get outside of that balance, guess what's going to happen? Then you're going to see who's really in charge. And I was looking at that piece that I think it was the breakdown put down, is what Brewster placed, that scene where Oprah Winfrey's playing the daughter, and she gets pregnant by this strange dude, and her father's asking who the father of the child is so he could actually go and do his fatherly duty, which is basically make sure that her and her offspring have a support system to help take care of that baby. And things were fine as long as he was playing his role. But the thing is, he thought he was asking for her cooperation. She wouldn't cooperate. And then he asked for submission. And then he thought that he could get his daughter to submit to his will. So he said he was going to beat her submission out of her. And that's where he crossed the line, and he jumped over. He forgot himself. He forgot who was really in charge. And then his wife came and jumped on his back and told him to stop hitting her with the broomstick. And when he did not, she went and got a shotgun and fired a shot over his head. And she told him exactly who was in charge. That if you put your hand on my child again, not his child, but my child again, so help me God, I'll kill you. And then he shrank back and remembered his place. That as long as you're playing the role that you're supposed to play, I'll pretend that I'm submitting to you. But if you buck, then you're going to know who's really in charge. So really, brothers, what we're asking for is black male freedom, not black female submission. Because if you stay in the gynocracy, then this is always going to be your angst. You will never get submission from her. You'll get cooperation at best. Even the angry man standard knows that in the black community, you're not going to get submission, you're going to get cooperation. And that cooperation comes with a price, a very high one. You're asking her to give up her spot as head of the family. And you have to prove that you can take it. You have to prove that you can hold it. And as soon as you slip, guess what's going to happen? Then the queen has to come back in and take over the reins. Tell you to sit your ass down. Go back and sit at the kids' table. So don't get it twisted. It's not about her submission. It's about yours. And you're the problem. You're the uppity Negro. You're the one that won't submit to the order of things. From the moment that you were conceived, you were born to serve, not to rule. But my morning thought has gone on long enough. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one.